Warning, this video contains spoiler alerts.
In this series, we'll be looking at every movie in the Godzilla franchise, from 1954 to 2024, and learn about the many monsters who were introduced. The Godzilla franchise comprises of 33 official Japanese movies, 5 official US adaptations, and 5 other movies for Rodan and Mothra. For those not familiar with the events and characters in the franchise, this series will help you get familiar with them. Now for the 13th movie of the franchise, Godzilla vs. Megalon, 1973. It started in late 1971, where a nuclear testing on an island off the coast of Japan had gone terribly wrong and destroyed the island. It even affected nearby Monster Island, leaving Godzilla, Anguirus, and Rodan in distress as parts of the island were also starting to collapse. This left a large hole on the island and explosions in the center of the island. Back in Japan at a lake, a young boy, Rokuro Ibuki, was playing on a flotation toy and swimming in the lake. 2 others, inventor Goro Ibuki and race car driver Hiroshi Jinkawa, were watching him play in the water, enjoying a picnic. But then the ground began to shake when a sudden earthquake came by. They told Rokuro to get out of the water, but the waves were preventing him from moving. They then saw a light coming from the center of the lake and the water started to churn. Steam was also coming off of the water's surface, and the vortex it made was pulling Rokuro further into the lake. Goro and Hiroshi shot a grappling hook at Rokuro, who tied the rope to the flotation toy and was pulled out of the lake. They took Rokuro and got away from the water as it continued to churn more intensely with the effects of the earthquake. They watched the flotation toy sink to the bottom of the lake, and then a whirlpool took its place, draining the water from the lake. The lake was completely drained and only steam was left coming out of a ravine that was hidden under the lake. On their way back home, they heard a news report that several people died from the unexpected earthquake due to the nuclear testing done on the island that was destroyed. Hiroshi did not understand why they even bothered doing this, since the tests only did more harm than good. Goro said that they would be submerged in water if this kept happening. He said that there were 2 continents that faced similar fates after a large earthquake a long time ago, one in the Pacific and the other in the Indian Ocean. But this was only believed in legends. When they arrived home, they found the door open and went inside. But they were attacked by 2 men who then escaped. Hiroshi then found a small red object left behind by one of the men. He went to check on Goro and Rokuro and went after the 2 men in his car. Goro and Rokuro found the place was ransacked and in a mess. They started cleaning up the place, and Rokuro found some strange red powder beside the robot Goro was making. Hiroshi chased the 2 men all the way into the countryside, but they threw a bomb out of the car when they drove onto the grasslands. The fire prevented Hiroshi from further pursuing them and left when he lost sight of them because of the black smoke from the fire. Back at Goro's workshop, Hiroshi showed Rokuro and Goro the button he found, and Rokuro noticed that it looked just like the red sand they found. Goro showed Hiroshi the red sand they found and started doing tests on it and the button. Goro also worked on his robot, Jet Jaguar. The next day, Hiroshi found Rokuro on a small motorized bike. Rokuro said he was sick of the water after what happened the other day. Hiroshi watched him drive off and went inside. Hiroshi saw that Goro was almost finished with Jet Jaguar and told him that the sand they found was from a strata that was 30 miles below the seabed. He said that the only other place they will find that sand was on Easter Island. Easter Island was an uninhabited island in the Pacific and was famous for its huge statues that were overlooking the sea that were over 3 million years old. Goro said that the information did not help but only made things worse. Meanwhile, the two men from the other day were driving nearby and were listening in through a transmitter they implanted under a table in the workshop. Goro and Hiroshi were testing out Jet Jaguar when they were listening in. The two men saw Rokuro driving his motorized bike down the sidewalk and kidnapped him. Goro and Hiroshi were still testing out Jet Jaguar. His eyes were TV cameras and he had an automatic evasion device that lets him avoid walking into people. They watched him walk around for a bit but then got an alert from the front door. They saw Rokuro standing outside the door and told him to come inside. The two men pointed guns at Rokuro to get him to comply and shot him as he opened the door. They grabbed his unconscious body and took him inside. Jet Jaguar was standing in front the door, causing the men to crash into him. They shot at Goro and Hiroshi, making them unconscious. One of the men went to the control board that controlled Jet Jaguar and contacted their base in Seatopia. The leader of Seatopia, Emperor Antonio, instructed them to take control of Jet Jaguar and have him guide Megalon to their targets. Megalon was the god Seatopia worshipped. The Seatopians were performing a ritual to awaken Megalon. Emperor Antonio said that after 3 million years of peace, it was finally time to go to war with the people of Earth since the recent nuclear testing destroyed a third of their country. When he called for Megalon to wake up, the glowing blue light turned red and the rocks surrounding him exploded. Megalon woke up and flew up to the surface. Meanwhile, Rokuro and Goro were tied up and locked inside a metal container that was moving. Hiroshi was tied up back at the workshop while the lead Seatopian agent worked on the control board to get Jet Jaguar ready to meet Megalon. Jet Jaguar then walked out of the workshop and flew off. Rokuro tried to untie Goro's ropes while the container they were in drove down towards the lake. The other Seatopian agent held the truck drivers hostage, promising them a reward of 100,000 yen if they complied. He wanted to drop the container into the crack that formed in the lake that drained the water during the earthquake from the nuclear test. The lead Seatopian agent kept monitoring the footage from Jet Jaguar's eyes and then heard Hiroshi regaining consciousness. He ignored Hiroshi as he struggled to get free from the ropes. Rokuro finally got the ropes loose from Goro and Jet Jaguar had already landed by the lake. The lead Seatopian agent told Hiroshi that they were taking Goro and Rokuro to Seatopia so they could force Goro to create robots for them to advance their civilization since they were so few of them. He claimed that their scientists were much advanced than the ones on the surface since they were able to create their own oxygen supply and sun to live underground. But Hiroshi found it ridiculous that he made such a claim and still had to steal Jet Jaguar and kidnap Goro and Rokuro to build robots for them. It did not even make any sense that the Seatopians had no time to invent the robots themselves. But Hiroshi told him that they were just too stupid to make the robots themselves and started fighting the lead Seatopian agent when he got offended. He pinned the lead Seatopian agent to the ground and knocked him out after he found out that the others were in a container on a truck. He turned off the control board for Jet Jaguar and ran down the stairs to get to his car. He went after the truck while Goro and Rokuro were free of their ropes. The lead Seatopian agent then regained consciousness and turned the control board back on. He told the other Seatopian agents of Hiroshi's escape and knowledge of their plans and told them to go after him. Hiroshi was driving towards the lake and noticed another car was following him. He then ran into a roadblock and another agent on a motorcycle was waiting there for him. Hiroshi turned the car around and the Seatopian agents went after him. He drove down a stone staircase to get them off his trail, but they followed him down. He then drove down the slope of a cliffside and through a valley. The motorcycle turned around and went to corner Hiroshi on the opposite side of the valley. Hiroshi drove through a construction site and the motorcycle leaped off of his car. He drove through a shed, but it crashed on top of the car that was chasing him. The motorcycle also crashed into the shed, and a bucket of paint fell on top of him as he tried to get up. Meanwhile, at the lake, Megalon emerged from the surface through the crack and flew over to Jet Jaguar. The lead Seatopian agent used Jet Jaguar to lead Megalon towards Tokyo. Jet Jaguar flew into the air and flew in small circles to get Megalon's attention to follow him. Megalon then followed him in the air. In the truck, a news report on Megalon's appearance and his destruction as he headed eastwards. The truck drivers got scared and wanted to dump the container at the dam instead. But the Seatopian agent held his gun at them. The military was evacuating the civilians and went to confront Megalon. The truck drivers then decided to throw the Seatopian agent out of the truck, causing him to roll down a slope. The truck drivers went over to the dam to throw the container over. The tray on the back of the truck started moving upwards, but then they stopped when they heard Megalon nearby. The container was hanging off the edge of the tray. The drivers came out to look around and saw Megalon climbing up the hillside at the top of the dam. Hiroshi then came to get Rokuro and Garo, who were still trapped in the container. The truck drivers were scared of Megalon and took off with Hiroshi's car without helping him get the tray down. Megalon then jumped into the water of the dam and tried to climb over the wall. Hiroshi tried to get the tray down, but the gear was stuck. Megalon then made a hole through the dam and Hiroshi tried to move the truck. But the container fell off and Megalon knocked it away over the hillside. They tumbled out when the container opened and were unconscious. Hiroshi went after them and Megalon broke the bridge to get through. Hiroshi found Goro and Rokuro and woke them up. Megalon was coming closer towards them and Jet Jaguar came closer to him to get his attention. He kept leading Megalon towards Tokyo and Goro noticed them. He had a miniature control transmitter with him in case the main computer failed, but it only worked when it had a line of sight of Jet Jaguar. The military was nearby and started attacking Megalon. Megalon tried to hide behind the trees, but the light rays still attacked him. Megalon used his own electric current to destroy the light rays generators and other military equipment and vehicles. Garo went over to the commander in charge and told him of his plan to get Godzilla to come into the fight. The commander said it was worth a try, and Garo went with some soldiers in a jeep to get closer to Jet Jaguar. The lead Seatopian agent was still at the main computer as Jet Jaguar continued leading Megalon towards Tokyo. Goro and the soldiers went into a helicopter and flew closer to Jet Jaguar. The lead Seatopian agent saw them coming and sent Jet Jaguar to handle them. But Goro used the transmitter to get him to stop. The lead Seatopian agent was confused and Garo told him to go to Monster Island to get Godzilla. Jet Jaguar then left and the lead Seatopian agent reported it to Emperor Antonio. Emperor Antonio told him to stay there in case they get another opportunity to get Jet Jaguar under their control again. He told a scientist to contact Star Hunter Universe M so they could get Gigan's help in fighting Godzilla and also to notify the others on Easter Island. Meanwhile, Megalon was getting restless and jumping around. A squadron of fighter jets came to attack Megalon and he destroyed most of them before leaving. Hiroshi and Rokuro went to a toy shop to get a toy plane for their plan. On Monster Island, Jet Jaguar told Godzilla of what was happening and that he needed his help. Godzilla agreed to help him and jumped off the island to swim over to Japan. Megalon was already destroying buildings all across Tokyo. Hiroshi and Rokuro then went back to the workshop and hid themselves from the camera at the door. Hiroshi threw a rock at the camera to destroy it and the lead Seatopian agent went outside to check it out. He saw that no one was outside when he looked out the door and went down the stairs. Rokuro then flew the plane at him, which caused his face to bleed. Rokuro and Hiroshi ambushed him while Garo drove towards the workshop to join them. Megalon was getting closer and they decided to leave. They tried to take the lead Seatopian agent with them, but he resisted. They decided to leave him and went to observe the fight from a safe distance. Megalon was still acting restlessly and destroyed a pile of rocks. One of the rocks landed on the lead Seatopian agent, who escaped and crushed his legs. Emperor Antonio then got a message that Gigan was on his way. Megalon was destroying ships and the industrial plants near the harbor, with everything exploding. Fire and plumes of black smoke were everywhere. At the workshop, Rokuro saw that Jet Jaguar had returned and they went outside to meet him. But something was off. Jet Jaguar did not respond to the commands from the transmitter and responded like he understood them. He then flew off, ignoring Garo's command to come back. Garo then realized that Jet Jaguar had reprogrammed himself for survival, which was what he was designed to do. Jet Jaguar would operate on his own now without orders from Garo. Jet Jaguar then flew over to Megalon to fight him, but the size difference was too far apart. Megalon laughed at him but was shocked to see him grow to the same size as him. They started fighting while Garo and the others followed him to watch the fight. Garo said that he had to go because he built Jet Jaguar. It was like a son to him. Megalon kept flying around Jet Jaguar and made him collapse in dizziness. He got back up and continued fighting while Garo and the others ran up the hillside to watch. They were surprised to see Jet Jaguar turn so big after reprogramming himself. Meanwhile, Godzilla was still swimming towards Japan and Gigan was getting close. Jet Jaguar continued fighting Megalon and tried to track his underground movements. He held Megalon in place when he popped up from underground, but then Gigan came to help him. Jet Jaguar tried to fly away when he saw that Megalon and Gigan were getting ready to team up against him, but was shot down by a strange bomb that Megalon spit out. They both started knocking him back and forth between each other and tossing him around. Then Godzilla came to join the fight. Megalon and Gigan were still kicking Jet Jaguar around, unaware that Godzilla was coming up behind them. Godzilla kept telling them to back off while he slowly moved over to help Jet Jaguar. Megalon and Gigan both started fighting Godzilla and he easily countered them. He continued fighting them and grabbed a tree to push Megalon back while Gigan laid on the floor. He threw the tree aside and went to check if they were unconscious. But Gigan pushed him back and Megalon spat one of his bombs near Godzilla's head. Jet Jaguar quickly threw it back at Megalon before it exploded. Gigan then flew up and cut Godzilla in his shoulder, causing blood to spew out. He collapsed from the impact and rolled down the hill before getting back up. Gigan came at him again and knocked him over again. He kept knocking into Godzilla and flew off. But Godzilla used his atomic breath to shoot him out of the air. Goro and the others were still watching as Jet Jaguar continued fighting Megalon. Gigan then flew off and Megalon disappeared underground. Godzilla and Jet Jaguar were confused as to where they went and looked around. But Gigan flew up behind Godzilla to knock him down while Megalon emerged from underground to knock Jet Jaguar off his feet. Godzilla and Megalon continued fighting while Jet Jaguar went to fight Gigan. After Megalon was knocked over and could not get up, Godzilla went to help Jet Jaguar. But Gigan used this blades to threaten to cut Jet Jaguar's head off if he came closer. Godzilla blasted his atomic breath at him and went over to help Jet Jaguar, who was stuck. Then Megalon shot more of his bombs at them. He surrounded them in a ring of fire while Gigan flew out and watched, taunting them. After Godzilla got Jet Jaguar out of the hole he was stuck in, Godzilla held onto Jet Jaguar and flew out of the ring of fire. Gigan and Megalon was shocked by this and watched them land in front of them. Godzilla kept blasting his atomic breath beside Megalon's feet to keep him from running away, and Gigan flew off again. Meanwhile, Emperor Antonio ordered that all exit points to Seatopia be closed immediately after they realized that Megalon was not going to win. Godzilla kept Megalon pinned down while Jet Jaguar flew after Gigan and crashed him into a bridge. Godzilla kept blasting his atomic breath at Megalon to keep him pinned down. When Godzilla came closer, Megalon spat one of his bombs at Godzilla's head, but it bounced off and returned into his mouth. Jet Jaguar then came over, holding Gigan in place as he brought him closer. He tossed Gigan into the air so Godzilla could blast him with his atomic breath. Gigan then retreated. They were only left with Megalon now. Godzilla went further away from them and told Jet Jaguar to hold Megalon in place. He ran up to them to build enough momentum and used his tail to slide over to them, drop-kicking Megalon. He did it again a second time. Godzilla then grabbed Megalon by the tail and kept slamming him into the ground. Megalon then retreated back underground to Seatopia while the Seatopians blew up all the exits to seal them off from the world. Godzilla shook Jet Jaguar's hand for a job well done and left. Jet Jaguar then returned to Garo and the others and shrunk back down to his normal size. But Jet Jaguar did not work independently anymore. He was once again responding to commands through the small transmitter Garo had. They were not sure what was going on. But Goro thought that since Jet Jaguar's job was done, he did not need to work independently again. Goro knew that if another threat like that happened, Jet Jaguar would most likely work on his own again to stop it. He decided to warn the scientists of what their nuclear testing did so the surface can leave Seatopia in peace. They then went home. I'm not really sure why people confuse Jet Jaguar with Ultraman. Jet Jaguar is actually an official character in the Godzilla franchise, whereas Ultraman is from another Toho franchise called Ultra 7. And there was a crossover movie. Godzilla has also been in other crossover movies like in Gamera and Frankenstein in the 1980s after the Showa era ended. But I think the reason why no one really liked this movie was because Godzilla only showed up to fight at the end of the movie and didn't have enough screen time throughout the movie. Godzilla vs. Megalon is about a race of underground people known as Seatopians who wanted revenge on the people on the surface for a nuclear testing that went wrong and destroyed part of their country. They used Jet Jaguar to help wage war on the Earth, who later turns on them and sides with Godzilla in the fight. Gigan also makes his second appearance on screen here for the Godzilla franchise. It was interesting to see that the theory of Easter Island's ancient civilization and the myth of the sunken continents brought into here. And Godzilla fighting alongside a robot? Fans in the 70s did not really like Jet Jaguar back then and were even more shocked to see that Jet Jaguar made a comeback in the anime series Godzilla, Singular Point, 2021, where they introduced a completely different Godzilla that is portrayed as a godlike interdimensional entity. The show leaned a little too much into the whole interdimensional philosophy side of the situation, so prepare your minds to take in all of that when you watch the anime, fair warning. This aspect of the story introduces us to Megalon, the Seatopians, and Jet Jaguar, a combat robot. In the next movie, we'll be introduced to Mechagodzilla and King Caesar, an ancient guardian of the Azumi tribe. Be sure to like and subscribe for more. Until next time.